Oh, there she is. Okay. Hi, Giuliana.
I went ahead and started recording, so whenever you're ready, feel free to.
Put our names on the board and email.
And
too.
Giuliana, or make her bigger, or can they see okay?
Is Giuliana a present?
She's
You can tell who's the teacher in the room.
back in her native territory.
I'm probably the only one who's not a teacher in the room.
Yes.
Are you in the right one?
Yes.
Okay.
I can start briefly, but
Why
you know,
don't you?
both of you were so eloquent. I wanted to share, but I don't know how much you'll need you, but
Oh, well.
I can start it off.
Sure.
Do you want to stand where you can be in the camera?
Everyone, thank you for joining our Sister City panel discussion. We're very fortunate to have Gayle and Linda here today from the Santa Cruz Sister City Association. And we were actually connected with them through Giuliana, who's one of the country representatives of JETAA USA. And unfortunately, she wasn't able to join us here in person, but she is online and she's kind of part of this panel as well. So we'll, have Giuliana chime in when she's able to. But really, this is an opportunity for everyone just to kind of learn about what seems to be very fruitful collaboration between JET and sister city associations, and how you might be able to kind of think about that in your own communities, how to connect with other sister city associations, and what opportunities might exist for your members and also for future JETs too in some ways. So with that, I'll just ask both of you to introduce yourselves and
Well, hi, everybody. Good afternoon. It's so great to see you. It's really exciting to be here. My name is Gayle McCallum, and I'm the former chair of the Sister City. It's the Xingu Santa Cruz Exchange Program through the city of Santa Cruz. And I took 5 groups of young students to Xingu, Japan, our sister city, over about 5 years. And made great friends and had amazing experiences, including some JET members, and Linda, who's the chair right now.
I am Linda Snook. I am the current chair of the Xingu subcommittee of the Santa Cruz Sister Cities committee. Santa Cruz has other sister cities as well, and I'm also on the main sister cities committee in Santa Cruz. I'm the vice chair of that. And I first got involved when my children went on the youth exchange that Gayle was talking about. 2 of my children went, and then eventually I got involved through hosting. I've hosted many people from Xingu. I brought a delegation of students over with Gayle and done adult exchanges as well. And your son. And currently my son, who went on the Xingu youth delegation when he was in freshman year of high school, is a JET teacher.
So
and he's loving it. He's just beginning his experience. The school year is just beginning, and it's a wonderful so far. It's very excited to get to go back to Japan.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's the start sometimes of a love affair with Japan. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about the history of our relationship with Xingu. It's really old and robust. So I don't know if the next slide might talk a little bit about the history.
The sister city program in general.
Yeah. Oh, is that what it does? I can't really tell. Yeah. So
Started post.
right. So there. So you can sort of see we have an Aikido dojo in Santa Cruz, and that's really where the relationship started. They started to visit another Aikido dojo in Xingu. And so it just kind of went from there. And I believe it was maybe in the 80s where they started to get this idea of taking students from Santa Cruz over to Xingu. They live with host families, so it makes it very affordable. They go during spring break, so it's doable. And then the other part of that is that Shingu teenagers would come over here in the summer and maybe learn how to surf or go to the boardwalk or, have an experience with an American family here in Santa Cruz. And so it's been going on and on. There's also business delegations where just adults would go over from our area over to Shingu, or the Shingu adults would come over to Santa Cruz. So it's an incredibly rich and robust relationship. I suspect it might be a little unique in that regard. Of course, there are a lot of sister cities all over the world, and you may or may not know very much about the Sister Cities program. I think it started with Eisenhower. Right?
Yes, it was
President
supposed
Eisenhower.
to promote peace in the world through individual, person-to-person and city-to-city friendships, which it really does in our city.
Yeah.
We see evidence of that all the time. Many long-lasting friendships,
Yeah.
because it's a homestay program. When these kids go to Shingu and then their kids come, they stay with our families and they make long-lasting friendships.
And so I think one of the things that started to happen with Shingu, and are you guys familiar with where Shingu is? It's in Wakayama Prefecture, so it's just 4 hours south of Osaka. So it's a bit of a
South and
trek.
east on the Pacific Ocean.
Yes. So we fly into Osaka, and then the students take a bus, usually for 4 hours down to Shingu, and stay for about 9 days. And what was I going to say about that? So one of the cool things about Shingu is that the connection became so strong with our city and their city that when JET applicants would apply, they would, I think, be keeping their ears and eyes open for anybody coming from our area. So they were almost continuing the relationship by selecting applicants from Santa Cruz or the area. So you can see how that would even deepen the relationship. And so we've gotten to know JET teachers. There's once they're back, they often contact us. One thing that I just remembered today was that a young woman named Michelle came back to the area. She was from Salinas, and she became a high school Japanese teacher at Salinas High School. And then when we had the Japanese teenagers came over, I think it was a high school. Anyway, the school was still in session, and we got to take them to an American high school. They went to the Japanese language class, which was fantastic for the American students to be able to interact with Japanese students. And it was just a really fruitful day. And that was, that's one example. Giuliana is another extremely wonderful example of the connection. And she could maybe talk a little bit about that too, unless you want to add something.
No, go ahead, please, Giuliana.
Oh gosh.
Is she still with us? I don't see her picture. Oh, yes.
Check, check. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Maybe.
Can she
Not
hear?
able to hear
You
the-
can't hear
the audio
Giuliana?
can't come from- Yeah, unfortunately. we can't hear it.
Too bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, we'll brag about her
Okay.
then,
Yeah.
lots and lots.
And I can type.
I mean, I don't want to jump ahead too much. I want to talk a lot about that. I think Giuliana is a wonderful example of the kind of intersections that JET, JET teachers, returning JET teachers can have. But even before we get to that, when we take the students over to Shingu, the Board of Education works with us quite often, and the JET teachers who are there generally like hang out with us a little bit.
So
And
they do the daily programming. They take the kids around.
yeah,
with
right,
us.
right. So they have a really rich cultural program that the city of Shingu does for us. But the JET teachers will come, and they often can do translating for us, or oftentimes they help with cultural kinds of help, so that we do the right thing and that we understand things and that kind of thing. So that's been really helpful. And just recently, someone in Shingu that we are connected with, they do a lot of tours and things for our kids. The spouse passed away. And so we were kind of like, well, what's the right thing to do? And I guess, we could Google it, I guess, but Giuliana was at one of our meetings, and we meet on Zoom right now, so she can be with us too. And she helped explain what we should do, that there's a year that we have that we can send flowers, that we can send fruit, that we could do this, and we may or may not have known that. So someone who's lived in Xingu for that long, it's just wonderful that added knowledge, right? Want to add anything?
That's perfect.
Yeah. Do you guys have burning questions so far?
Or even not burning.
Yeah, okay,
please.
not burning.
I'd like to be interactive.
Yes.
It's not at all burning, but could you elaborate a little bit about the homestay program, how long and what the age group?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Can we do that?
sure.
So Santa Cruz takes 8th through 10th graders every spring break, and we stay about 8 or 9 days. It's during the city school spring break. And they stay in a Japanese home in pairs. And so
the
on
whole
the
time.
weekends, they do whatever the family does. In the evenings, they eat dinner with them. During the day, from about 9 to 5, everyone meets at City Hall, and the Board of Education in the city of Xingu takes them on all sorts of educational outings. It can be on a riverboat or to see a play or
Trying on
meet the Boy
kimono.
Scouts. It's really fun and they love it. But they also get to spend a lot of time with their homestay family. And then in
Do they
the
also send their students?
Yes.
yeah, so in the summer, not necessarily the same hosting family, but sometimes in the summer, Xingu brings students to Santa Cruz. One year they bring junior high, and then the next year they bring high school students. I should have said, we usually bring 14 students to Xingu. And then when they bring junior high students, they also bring 14. And they stay in American homes in pairs. And then the alternate year, they bring high school students. They bring fewer, maybe 6 or 7, and they stay individually in the homes. And they take English class in the mornings, and they do activities in the afternoon because they want them to come here and learn English. And they stay 2 weeks. The junior high only stay a week, but they stay about 2 weeks because they really want them to get more experience. They have to pass a test. It's pretty competitive for them to get to come to Santa Cruz. And so they have to work on that. And get to come.
Yeah, and in both situations, the students are, for lack of a better word, vetted. So they have to put in an application. They have to say why they want to go. They have to write a little bit about, who they are, what their interests are. They have to go through a very extensive interview process with a panel of us, including maybe students who have gone in the past, because we want them to be good representatives of our country and of Santa Cruz. And then there are 5 weeks where they meet once a week. We meet and they get language training before they go, as well as cultural nuances, how to take your shoes off and turn them around, right, in the foyer, in the front. And we talk a little bit about using, the restrooms and things like that. So there's a lot of prep and scaffolding, cultural scaffolding for them before they go. And they do the same thing in Xingu. They're getting them ready to come here and giving them some language skills and some cultural things and what to expect when you go to America, because some of them are very young. Some of them come here, they're 13. They've never been away from home. They've never been out of Xingu before. So yeah. Oh, I think there was another question over here
Yeah,
first.
right here.
Sorry.
Or what's that first thing? All right, so I'm Orit, the representative from Jamaica, and I totally endorse what you're bringing up all with this stuff, situation, and not to take away anything at all from Santa Cruz, but I just want to add that during my time on the JET program, I lived in this now, which is in Ishikawa,
Okay.
and that was exactly sister city or monetary city, right? And
Yes.
during that time, when I was there, I was fortunate to see many collaborative activities between Monterey and Nanos, the student exchanges, jazz festival, Monterey Jazz Festival, in Nano City, and like a replica of Monterey City in Nano, with like the Fisherman's Wharf, World War, and other things, right?
Yeah.
So the benefits are very all right.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons why I'm in this session, because I didn't want, to be able to build on this in terms of forming sister cities with my chapter in Jamaica.
Yeah,
And chapters here in the US and other countries,
right.
right? Because of the many benefits
Yes.
we derive from it. Right, so I totally endorse what this is, what's happening with Santa Cruz and support.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's from what I experienced, it can be quite a project to get sister cities going. They have to be a friendship city first. You have to know there has to be some person over there that can agree to be. I mean, we're volunteers.
Yeah.
I want to just say we're not paid.
That's
We're
important.
volunteers.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
volunteer work, and you need consistent year after year after year volunteer work. So that's really important to keep any sister city relationship going. Some, like, we're part of the city of Santa Cruz, some are just separate nonprofits, whatever. There's all different structures. Watsonville has a great exchange going, Scotts Valley, Bay Area. There are a lot of sister city relationships. They're all structured differently, but that volunteer effort is what you need to keep culturing, and the friendships, like you said.
Yeah.
In
And I think the other thing I would just add is if someone had their hand up.
yeah, there was one down here and then down there.
Just to one more thing, just for him and everyone, is that the city of Santa Cruz, the city supports what we do, and the city of Shingu really supports them. So we're so lucky in that way. And we have other sister cities. Our Italy is pretty good right now too. And some of them, if there's political issues like Venezuela, we don't have anything going on with them right now. Ukraine, we have a sister city there, can't have really anything going on there. So sometimes it's very alive and sometimes it's just dormant and waiting. But if the city helps, that's what I would say, to get your city government on board. Right.
There was down here a question, I think.
Yeah. I don't know if you cover any part of that, but is the affordability ever an issue with access for some of the students who like to go?
I'm so glad you
Great
asked.
question.
It's a great question. That's really dear to my heart as well. And so the fact that they live with the families the whole time really, really helps with the cost. We tell the students right up front about what it's going to be. It's mostly the airfare that's going to be the most expensive thing. The students are also free to do fundraising in their families. They get accepted well before Christmas, so they or Hanukkah or whatever, so they can, you know, reach out to grandma and grandpa or whatever. But also, one of the things we're really trying to build is the scholarship part of our program. We do have scholarships, and some of that, one of the biggest donors is the Japanese Cultural Fair that happens in Santa Cruz every year. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it's a big cultural fair that celebrates Japanese, you know, traditions and food and everything else. And they give us a pretty good chunk every year. So we definitely try to let students know that there is help, there are scholarships, and it's really not that much. I don't think
It's pretty much the airfare, and then there are partial scholarships for the activities and buses and things like that. There's a fee, but there's a scholarship available for that.
And some, you know, some students bring a lot of spending money and other students don't, but their host families take amazing care of them. And they're always a little surprised how much American kids eat, but but they are warned about that too. And one thing I will say about the Shingu families is that they are subsidized. If they host, they are subsidized a little bit from the city of Shingu. So there's a little bit of incentive there from
And
that.
their trip is paid for. The junior high delegation is paid for by the city of Shingu, not so for Santa Cruz, but the Japanese students that come here, the younger ones, that's paid. So we had a question.
So the city of Shingu puts that in their budget, which is pretty amazing.
you. I'm just delighted to hear the depth of the engagement, and I'm wondering, I heard you say that there are a variety of different models. Is there, in your case, a formal partnership or agreement? I understand the origins were pretty informal. but we have a lot of support. And I'm wondering if there's formal or even
For the
um,
sisterhood, for the
symbolic-
sister city, not for the JET, for
well,
the
the
JET
city.
JET and sister city relationship is informal, but the sister city is very formal. The mayors each write each other a letter and there are certificates that go back and forth. It's an involved process and we really develop it slowly partly because you really have to have interest in both cities and a lot of energy.
But as
to keep
JET,
it
as
happening.
JET alumni, that is something that you could foster in your own cities,
Yeah.
you know?
Relationships usually have an MOU.
We have something like that, yeah. And so first if we develop a new friendship city, we, first of all, it has to go to our city council and to the city council of the friendship city, and you have to be friends for 2 years. And then the mayors have to exchange letters and they have to be certified. And yes, there are formal formalities,
Yeah.
but it's really very valuable to have that city support because say the mayor of Shingu comes over and we're just sister city volunteers to get our mayor to come when they're really busy, depending on who the current mayor happens to be, you need city tie-in. And so we're through the Parks and Rec help support our sister cities.
Yeah.
And we meet in the city council chambers. We have free venues, places to meet, and that's really valuable as well. We have places to have our gatherings that are free to us. So there's a lot of in-kind return.
Yeah.
Used to be the Parks and Rec would take the kids for a day in their van and
Mhm.
entertain them and take them
Yeah.
to the boardwalk. So those connections are really valuable, but you don't want to have their mayor come over and then there's no mayor to greet them, that kind of stuff. It's awkward, you know. And so it's really useful to have the city.
As a JET AA leader in an area that a lot of the cities around me already have pre-existing sister city relationships, but I haven't been a part of those. How should our organization approach a sister city committee? What could we do together? How can we support each other? How should I make first contact?
That's a great question. So I think I've watched this from there's a larger sister city committee and then we're a subcommittee. But I've seen people approach, right, come up to the larger committee that, you know, there's public comments that go on in the beginning of the meeting and you could just plant the seed. You could suggest it. The thing that I would suggest is to already have a contact in the city that you would want to introduce as a sister city.
Well, I think
yeah.
you're looking to participate in an existing set of
Yeah,
sister
so
city
there's
program.
already
Oh,
a sister
yeah.
city relationship,
Oh.
but my organization has no connection with the sister city committee. What kind of email or, you know, trying to get in touch with you would you appreciate? Like, what can we do for you? What can you do for us?
Oh,
What
okay,
kind of
misunderstood.
relationship can we build together?
Well, come on. I
I
mean,
don't know.
come on.
You know, we participate in wider sister city networks as well. So I meet with people from Watsonville and Silicon Valley and things like that. In fact, we hosted the last group in Santa Cruz, and I don't know a single one of those people who doesn't welcome and want more volunteers. So if you say we would like to contribute to sister cities volunteer wise or do some activities together, even fundraising, or just have a party or just get together and meet. I can't think of one of those people who wouldn't really, really want to meet you. You might send an email.
And I don't know if Juliana can get on here because
Yeah.
she would
And
be able
can you
to
put
answer that.
anything in the
She's
chat?
I know.
She's answering.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. They need your expertise right there. So can you guys read that? Should we read it? Sister Cities Committee needs your JET expertise. I would reach out to the committee, explain who you are, what the JET program is, and what you have to offer. Also, you have contacts maybe in Japan, and they would love that. Just
Yes.
somebody who's been to Japan.
I
Good
will,
question.
I will say that Northern California is a template because they've assigned their board members to reach out to each of the relationships in the Bay Area. So they simply found each of those communities, reached out, offered their services, and they did that as a chapter initiative. So all of those relationships in the Bay Area, they had a board member each of them, and they were very happy.
Oh,
The-
yeah.
The sister cities were very happy to have.
Absolutely, yes. You could join one of those committees. They
Julie-
would
yeah.
love that.
Giuliana, we were tabling at the Japanese Cultural Fair that happens every June in Santa Cruz, and Giuliana just came up to the table and introduced herself, and she said, I'm just got accepted to JET. Tell me if this is the wrong story. That she just got accepted and she was going to Shingu. And so we said, okay, we'll see you there. And we did. So when we actually went, she had already been there, and she knew her way around and was just invaluable to us. Like, just a great source of information and support and all that. So, and maybe it was kind of went both ways. I don't know, to see people from, home or whatever. So it was great. It was really great.
Also, if
yeah.
you can visit your sister city, reach out to your local sister city committee and say, hey, I'm going to so-and-so, and they'll probably, I know we would, connect you with people and say, can you bring this to so-and-so?
Yeah.
There's a real network. The emails start flying and you get connected very quickly because we want you.
Yeah, definitely. You enrich our program. So. Giuliana, adding anything else? I was so nervous to go to Shingu, never having been to Japan. The Sister City Committee convinced me to go. We did?
We did.
Okay. All right, 100% a two-way street, so.
Yeah, and for certain, my son went because he had been to Shingu and they were so kind and welcoming, and so he really wanted to go back to Japan, and now he's in the JET program. So it goes both ways, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have, yeah. And now she sits on our committee. So we got Giuliana.
Out there though, Giuliana's a specific request, she's still involved, right? So,
Yeah. Thanks to Zoom.
yeah.
And just, yeah.
And she's been really helpful when other people want to go and visit Shingu. She has, knowledge and inroads and things like that. Another, yeah. Yes. I don't know if we want to plug your, well, I don't know. Adding anything? Giuliana, oh yeah, you said that. Another thing, just kind of, I'll just throw this out there. We were in Shingu a few years ago, and it's a fairly young group. And there was some, they were, young, and the JET teacher was with us, and we were somewhere and someone was speaking, and the American kids were kind of, whispering and talking. And she just very gently reminded them just about cultural etiquette, someone speaking, you really need to, that kind of thing. And like coming from a younger person who's teaching there, rather than the chaperones that go.
Teacher gift.
Yeah.
Many of us, Gayle's a teacher by profession, but I'm a biologist. I didn't have that teaching profession. So the JET teacher have that gift that you have
Yeah.
also.
Yeah. Yes.
I think you're really important. Like, is there any kind of alumni network?
Well,
That would be a good idea. It would
Yeah.
take a little bit more volunteer.
yeah, and COVID hit us hard. And so that's the program that was had been going on for like 25 years, had to, and there had never been a year where there wasn't an exchange. So we were ground to a halt, like a lot of places. The students, sometimes it's kind of a one-off thing, but like you're hearing, my children also went to Shingu when they were in 8th and 9th grade. And my younger daughter subsequently went on back to Japan when she was a little older and did woofing, if you know what that is, willing workers. You did that? Yeah, she did that in Japan, and she cannot stay away from Japan. She's going there again this year. So like, it really, of course, gets under the skin of many people. The young people contact me. How do I get back to Japan? So I started a huge list. Look at these universities, look at these programs. They go into JET, So, but as far as an alumni thing, I mean, we're talking 20, 25 years of young people that went. So I don't know. That's maybe
We're going
beyond
on our
our
50th
volunteer purview.
anniversary. What? Next year will be our 50th anniversary of sister cityship. We didn't do youth delegations the whole time, but that's how long we've been sister cities.
Yeah. But I don't know
But
if
there
that
are many
answers your
families,
question.
younger siblings go, and Santa Cruz is really a small town. A lot of word of mouth and connection, but yeah, it would be great to have alumni because, and often we do call them in to help at the cultural fair. We send out an email. Any of the kids who have gone to Japan that want to come and help at the cultural fair or interview the next year's students, we do call them in for those sorts of things.
Yeah, and they also, I think we're all maybe of certain age, some of us on our subcommittee, and so getting sometimes the younger people is really great. And
We have one.
we have one, and including Giuliana, but there's somebody else who's about 21, and he went on a program, then he went back to Shingu as did an internship there and lived with family. And so this is another little thing we're starting on these internships, but what was I gonna say about him? Something about, yeah, something about that. And well, some of them want to come back and be a part of our program, and they would help us when we interview the students who are going to go, and they give a fresh, younger, more recent perspective like that. So some of them do come back in, but it's at their will, not really ours. So.
Once they go to college, we often lose track of them
Yeah.
unless their parents are still involved. That young man, his mom was on the committee.
Well, that's what happened to us. My kids went, her kids went, and we became
And
volunteers.
here we still are.
Yeah.
But we're always looking for more young people. So
Yeah, I don't know if you want to just show the next slide. I think it's just a bunch of people, but that's.
we had to have our 45th anniversary celebration online. So these slides were put together, and a lot of
So
it things
mayor,
we do.
Shingu mayor, Santa Cruz mayor, Santa Cruz mayor, like that. So there's a business delegation there. That was pretty recent.
And all these people came to the online Zoom party.
Yeah.
We had a lot of people on it.
And also, this mayor, you can tell he's been the mayor of Shingu for a really long time. And he's a supporter of the program. So that's a really big key. Like if he cares and he is interested, that really does help. And somehow we managed to help our current mayors drink the Kool-Aid too. Like they love Shingu. We get them over there to Shingu when we can so that we can keep that relationship going really strongly.
Yeah, and the other city officials as well. Some parks and rec superintendents have gone as well.
And I think there's one more slide, probably more people. Yeah, this is maybe some of the.
Oh, right. Before they leave, the students all come, stand behind city council, get a send off from the city council. They get their photo taken in the council chambers.
But I really, Giuliana, I just want to give her some more room to add anything. We'll read anything you want to write to us. I wish we could hear you. What do you think is maybe one of the main the gifts that you've been given by being a part of it? We know about your gift to us. I don't know if she's typing or not. She's typing. Okay.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, and then there's another question over there too. So we're going to answer questions. Keep typing.
Okay, so I just want to ask, we've been discussing at this conference, diversity, initiatives to bring in more people. from
Yeah.
Different backgrounds. So I was curious what you were doing in that vein and what's working.
One thing we did was when we advertised the program, we also put it in Spanish. So if we have a poster, it's in English and Spanish. So that's one thing that we're trying to do. And the, the scholarship program, we try to make sure that students know that there are scholarships.
For economic diversity.
Yeah.
It goes to all the city schools and it goes in the Santa Cruz Parks and Rec bulletin. So every family gets one, in their mailbox, and the city schools students get information about this.
I think it's definitely something we could work on more. But that's close to my heart. So I appreciate you asking that.
They also, if they get the scholarship, they get a pass on hosting if they want. They don't have to host in their home.
I don't know.
She has it. She might have left the computer.
What?
She has an answer.
Okay. She might be typing. Yes.
question about the, I guess, former participants. I understand it's hard, it's always hard to track.
Yeah.
What have you heard or know anything about Japanese student participants? And I'm also specifically wondering whether you know any friendships are formed and sustained between the Japanese and
The host families and the students often form an incredible bond that goes on for years. And we might not know about those, but I do know about some of them, because maybe I've seen pictures on Instagram or something where, you know, the family sent a gigantic bundle of gifts or something like
Every
that.
time I go there, people who are there, I've hosted their children, they bring gifts. They just show up at the meeting like, oh, thank you again.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, when another family takes care of your child, there's something that happens there just deep in the heart.
Yeah. So they're going on, they're out there, but we may not know about that. It is. And we definitely have incredibly deep friendships with some of the other people that are kind of at the same level of what we do over there.
My son still emails with the family that he stayed with, and then the young man he stayed with. And we have something from Giuliana, and then we have questions about.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
and social media is good for this. I still
Totally.
I still see the wedding pictures of children that stayed in my home and or that went to Shingu. You know, the other friendship that happens, not only did the children in Santa Cruz become friends with the people in Shingu, they meet each other because they're from all different schools. It's not a school trip, so they stay friends, and those connections have continued. So you make friends with people in your own town that are from another part of town.
It's a very, very good note. There's around 9 minutes left.
Okay,
Session,
okay.
so we still do this.
We have something from Giuliana here.
Try to get her on the phone. I can call her.
Oh,
I don't know. if
That'd be up to
about
her.
Let's
Really.
She
read.
said that if you guys want her to talk.
Oh, she said
Yes,
that?
Giuliana,
Oh,
we want you
yeah.
to talk.
Maybe while you do that, I could read, or
Yeah,
do you want to read
yeah.
what she said? I understand that my situation is unique since I was lucky to be a sister city JET, but these connections are possible even if you were not a sister city JET. I really encourage everyone to find the email of their local sister city committee. Try Google for that because they're not all part of the city. And pitch an idea, even if it's as simple as.
She's on the phone now.
Oh, okay, maybe Giuliana, you can say all this stuff you
Yeah.
wrote because
No.
I'm not doing a very good job. Let's turn it up, Isaac. Yeah. Yeah.
No, that. Go ahead.
Go.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a network in Shingu, but oh, can you not hear me?
You're good.
Oh, the online people can't hear me now. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. They saw the message, so I'll loop them in later. But I had a network, and so starting things like internship programs, I'm like, I know somebody who would love to have an intern. This nonprofit in Shingu is looking for students to help out. But that doesn't matter because you can reach out to your local sister city committees and say, hey, I was a JET. I have Japanese cultural knowledge. I have Japanese language skills. I would love to work with you. You can do local events between you and the Alumni Association and the sister city committee people, and then, you know, maybe brainstorm some ideas. You'll potentially have the opportunity to go back to Japan, and then you can build your Japanese, your Japan network. You'll meet people who are in Japan who are involved in the sister city committee. You'll see things that other sister city committee members who are with you in Japan might not see. You can explain things that they might not have ever even noticed. You know, an example of that is, unfortunately, we've experienced some close friends of ours have passed away over the years I've been involved in the sister city committee. But navigating Japanese funeral rituals is something that I'm a little bit familiar with, just because I lived in Japan for, you know, year plus. So that's one example. There are so many. So anyway, I'll get off the soapbox. But I think that's basically it in a nutshell. I really strongly feel like if you want to do very meaningful grassroots diplomacy, that this is a great avenue by which to pursue it. So I'll stop there.
Yeah, your voice is really important. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks.
We have 2 minutes, I guess.
Wrapping.
Thank you so much. Any last minute comments or questions?
Question for Giuliana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you so much for doing that. Great.
We stole her away. sorry.
Maybe one last question or maybe some last comments.
Well, I would look forward to exploring JET more and maybe finding out more about the structure of JET in the future, and maybe even solidifying our relationship more, because it's very informal.
I will say that JETAA International, which is the higher global organization, we've been pushing sister city engagement in JETs for several years now. And hopefully, you know, country reps, I work on that very much. There's some of us who are engaged with trying to promote the alumni supporting sister cities.
Yeah.
So I would be happy to talk with you or you and connect you with people who are pushing this now for several years.
Nice.
Sounds
It's
like a
great to hear
win-win.
about these examples. You know, Crescent City, JETAA is a new relationship that's very enlightening in how that came about. Tragic roots in it, but a very new relationship that has a broad base of business and cultural exchange. But I love hearing about these examples and adding them to my list.
Yeah.
But the alumni network is trying to push this.
Great.
Fabulous.
I think it's going to
It's
be
just
wise
great.
and fruitful to do that.
And for exactly the points you said, you need new blood, gives the alumni a lot.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, there is a city international website that lists the relationships.
We work with SCI, but not all sister cities are members of SCI.
It's kind of expensive to belong to SDI, so even Santa Cruz is considering whether we're going to continue that membership.
They are, incidentally, they are trying to form a US-Japan Sister City Summit for 2025.
Wow.
And we are trying to get the alumni to support that too. That's a very heavy lift.
Yeah. Where will it be?
They are asking for host city candidates.
Uh-huh.
to sit out.
I think Santa Cruz is too small.
Well, they want to do it in Japan.
I'm joking.
California has more Japanese sister cities, as you may guess, than any other, actually more sister cities in general than the rest of the country, the Pacific coast.
Oh, yeah,
does,
California
most of
is
them.
huge.
Yeah.
I think Okayama was kind of they're asking.
Cool. That's great to know.
But the Consul-General, I'm sorry.
450 sister city relationships.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Well, I
Got a
think
lot-
we're over time, so
Yeah.
thank you all
Yes,
very
thank
much. It
you.
was great to
Thank
meet you all. Thank you. Yeah, Linda. Thank you, tech person.
No problem. So after this, everyone will go ahead and head to B104, that's the lecture hall, right down the little row in the rear little alley. Turn left, so go downstairs and then just turn to the left. You'll see the door in the little alley. That's the lecture hall.
That was fun.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming. Yeah, no, no problem. Yeah, I'm glad that you guys managed to.
Visuals.
Yeah.
Helping with the visuals.
Visuals are great.
I think that was very fourth line. Thanks, Linda. Thank you. I'd like to find you more. I know. Yeah, us too. Well, let's do it.